Don't you love hearing your stats? Don't you love that? 3-time WNBA, NCAA champion, league MVP. I mean, how much of that is the can-do mindset? How much of that is just you're really good at basketball?
Well, I'm grateful for my parents and instilling that mindset in me. But sometimes I have to tell people when they're like, man, can you believe you played basketball? I was like, well, I am 6'4", so I was like, I think that had a little bit to do with it, but it's definitely where I come from, the mindset instilled in me as a kid. And I grew up with 2 older brothers that I idolize more than anything, even now. So I'm just super grateful for that.
You know, one of your nicknames growing up was Can Do. That sets you up for success. People used to call me Michael Kosta. What does that set me up for? What does that mean for?
Yeah, I have to give a nod to my mom. It's her birthday today, actually.
Oh.
So, happy birthday, Mom. And it's crazy growing up Candace, short Can, you know, whatever. And then my mom extended it to Can Do because she saw, you know, sometimes I looked at the shadows of my brothers and was like a little bit overwhelmed. My older brother's a professional NBA basketball player, played 10 years, actually played with somebody you might know, LeBron James, for a couple years. And then my middle brother, he's like the black sheep of the family. He's a doctor. So I grew up with 2 older brothers that just from a very early age knew they wanted to be great. And so my mom would say can do, it became my mantra. And it became something, whether I was hitting big free throws or whether I was trying to ace a test, whatever it was. And so it just became something I would tell myself. And then in writing this book, it became an acronym. Community, authenticity, negativity, the dash, which is the journey, and, you know, seizing opportunity and creating it.
I love this. I'm glad you mentioned your siblings. The youngest of 4. My siblings are just such a foundational part of my life. And hearing you talk about watching your older brothers have success and their mindset, I think more should be discussed about how important siblings are. And that relationship with siblings can mean so much. And I assume they're still in your life and you're still supporting each other with the same level of enthusiasm.
You know what's crazy is our family, we grew up just supporting one another. And, you know, being the youngest, like, you have to fight for everything. I mean, like, the last chicken wing on the table, you're fighting for, whatever it was. But I wanted to be just like them. And as a little girl, I'm grateful for my parents not shrinking me because I was a girl. Not telling me I couldn't do things because I was a girl. And as a result, I mean, sometimes I tell a story in the book about how I was 3, I went to the park. My brothers took their shirts off, and I took my shirt off. My dad was like, you can't do that. And I was like, but it's can do, like,
right.
I
can do that.
Yeah,
Dad.
exactly.
You know, my brother would kick the shit out of me. But then if someone else said something negative about me, it was on. And I still think about that, even though I can kick his ass right now.
You got the mic, too. So
I got
you
the
get
mic.
The last word.
I got the mic. You played in the WNBA for 16 seasons. Ooh, that's a lot. You finished up last year.
Long time.
Yeah.
Long time.
You know, you're honest in this book, which I love. There's a lot of humor in this book as well. But one of the things that as a tennis player and enthusiast, hearing you talk about playing in the WNBA early on, and it was sponsored by Holiday Inn Express.
Yes.
And you're staying in Holiday Inn Expresses, and some of the games are being played in almost high school-like gyms.
Yep.
It reminded me of Billie Jean King and how much
100%.
She fought for almost no money at the time, sacrificed her athletic ability and efforts, but now the women are getting huge money. Now, it's not necessarily as much as the men, but how can we celebrate how far the WNBA has come and also still be eager to grow it?
It's so interesting when I think society sometimes like limits growth. And for a long time, we looked at women's sports as like a charity, and it's not. And I think now people are seeing it as a business.
Yeah.
And as a result of the pioneers like the Billie Jean Kings and the Cheryl Millers and all of them. And so for me to look at the WNBA today, I think the game has grown for sure. The players have become more skilled, and it's more of a positionless basketball. But honestly, it's the visibility. Like, now you can find it. You know the players. You identify with them. You root against your rival.
Yeah.
Like, I grew up a Bulls fan. I didn't like the Pistons because we didn't like them. Like, that's just what it was, you know?
Yeah.
And so I think now when you establish that, you're able to fall in love with the stories.
Yeah.
Then that's where real growth happens, and we're seeing that in the WNBA now.
Caitlin Clark, I think we looked it up today, is making $78,000 a year, which is insane because they're literally moving games to bigger venues because she's selling so many tickets.
Yeah, and that's up from my rookie year, just up.
Right, exactly.
That's growth from my rookie year, just to tell you.
In a few years when she's on the free market, that's going to be a huge contract. Is the WNBA, is it about to take off even more?
I'll say this. In 5 years, I truly believe, I'll say 5 to 10. I think there will be a WNBA franchise that will be worth $1 billion.
I love that. That's great. Yeah. You used to have to go play overseas to make more money. That's a very common endeavor that all players would have to do? Or?
It was. Now, because of leagues like Unrivaled, players are able to stay home. But I played 6 years in Russia, I played 2 years in China, and I played 1 year in Turkey. I mean, I had my daughter when I was 23 years old, so we've kind of grown up together. And with that being said, the world has been her playground. So she went to school in Russia.
I mean, are Russians huge basketball fans? I mean,
what's crazy is the #1 club over there. I mean, we had chefs, we had drivers, we flew private.
Wow.
These diamonds are from Russia.
There we go.
But it's one of those things.
Putin.
It's one of those things where basketball over there is a big deal, and they were able to kind of drive the game forward because they were able to pay the type of contracts that I think the players deserved.
Yeah. I don't think enough. I'm really thankful in the book you have a lot of pictures of you in a cast.
Yes.
And you also have this great head-to-toe picture of and a listing of all your different injuries, including total foot reconstructive surgery. I don't think enough people watching at home as we eat potato chips, watching our athletes and criticizing them to understand the physical toll that our bodies take. Real professional athletes' bodies take. The reason I was about to say it was you talk about how your kids know that mommy has bad knees.
Yes.
And my daughters know that my back is bad, but I don't have a gold medal to point to on it. Talk a little bit about the physical toll and how are we doing now?
Oh my goodness. 10 knee surgeries, 2 foot surgeries, 1 shoulder surgery. So I've had my fair share of injuries. And I'll say this, I think the toll it takes to play at a high level, I always look at the years, but really to me it's the mileage.
Right.
And I think, every athlete knows that feeling of getting out of the bed mid-season. And to be honest with you, the reason why I retired, I was gonna try to come back and play a 17th year. But the reason I retired was just because I was like activating to activate. You wake up and you're like, okay, I gotta get out of bed, I gotta stretch. Okay, then I gotta go to practice, but you gotta activate to then do the pre-practice and the cold tubs and things like that. And so it just got to be too much. And so my kids now will look at my scars and, my daughter remembers, but my sons don't remember. And so they know mommy's bad, got a bad back and can't do the swings at the park. But, overall, I'm healthy and I keep trying to stay active.
As an athlete at your level for so many years, the public cares. The public sees your results. You win, you lose, it's on the ticker down below. But that's gone now. That's done now. And now, is it hard to transition to nobody gives a shit about what you're doing day to day?
It's true. It's really true.
That's a really challenging part for athletes.
Here's what I will say. I've had some amazing role models. I really would challenge anyone to love the game of basketball more than me. I think that I grew up in a city, and I say that, and I evolved as a basketball player in Los Angeles, seeing Kobe Bryant play.
Sure.
I think he might rival me in somebody that loved basketball more than me. And to watch him seamlessly transition into being an author and, the time that he spent with his family. I think not only did he inspire me on the court and what he did in between the lines, but off the court and how I wanted to kind of plan for the transition. Because it really is like athletes die twice.
Yeah.
It really is.
But I mean, your competitiveness is unparalleled. And
well, it's
I'm
like
sorry.
Now it's dominoes.
You know what I mean?
You bring it all the way back.
Are you like dunking on your kids?
Listen, I'm like smacking their shot. There's no easy layups.
Yeah.
I'm crazy on the Peloton.
Yeah.
So like crazy on the Peloton. And Pedals by Patty almost got me the other day.
Okay.
But she did not get me. So it's just anything I can find competition in. I think my wife and kids are sick of me because it's like, you want to play dominoes, you want to play spades, like what are we doing?
Right, you want their competitive void there.
Yeah, I really need to fill that.
Tom Brady retired for 2 weeks. He was a parent for 2 weeks, and he was like, I gotta go back to work. Look, you write beautifully about coaches in here. In particular, your coach at Tennessee, Pat Summitt. And I would love if the rest of us can steal from you or even steal from her something that you could share with us that would help us all, something that she instilled in you. And also not just Pat Summitt, because there's other coaches in athletes' lives that aren't just winning national championship, but please share your wisdom of all the coaches that you've worked with.
Coach Summitt was not only a coach, she was an educator, and she was a leader of women. And I say that I think we grew up, my family grew up, with my parents always saying that bosses push and leaders pull. Leaders get to where they want their team to go, and they take them there. And Coach Summitt never asked of us what she wouldn't do herself. And so I'm super grateful, even though she's passed on, to still be learning lessons from her. Yeah. And it comes to life in everything I do, whether I'm parenting, whether I'm being a teammate, working on television, whatever it is, it comes out.
How is a parent?
Well, as a parent, we like to say...
I make my kids run suicides, but it doesn't seem to change their behavior.
As a parent, we like to say a lot of things, but I really think they're watching. And so a role model really doesn't it's not do as I say, it's do as I do. Yeah. And so my daughter has allowed me the opportunity to look in the mirror and really, have to hold true to some of the things I say. And Coach Summitt was the best at that. I think it's what you do and how you honor someone. My youngest son is named after her. It's Heart Summitt, after awesome. Coach. And, my goal is to continue to keep her legacy alive because she was one of the greatest coaches, male or female, that has ever lived.
I love the way you wrote about her. I heard in a different interview you did that one of the things that you mentioned about Pat Summitt was making eye contact. Oh, yeah. And it is wild that we have to learn that and instill that because, man, some of the kids you talk to today, it's and I was like, wow, that is some real shit right there. And I want to just say, during this interview, we've had really strong eye contact.
We have. Yeah. You've done a great job. Really that is something that Coach Summitt would be very proud of. But listen, if you didn't stare at her crystal blue eyes, you were running suicides. Right. So I learned to look her in the eye. Fear is an important motivator. Yes, it is. Thank you very much for coming. The Can-Do Mindset is available now. Candace Parker.